To those of you looking to start the process of finding your soul's past in the birth chart, the first step is identifying the sign that was positioned on its cusp at the moment of your birth. This sign has great karmic significance because to a karmic astrologer like me, this sign serves as the universal highlight reel to your karmic yesterday, a celestial summary, if you will, that not only documents your promise and potential back in that lifetime, but identifies the overwhelming loss and self-inflicted sacrifice that kept you from living up to them. Good to know. Because forcing this outdated guilt and useless emotional baggage into the depths of your unconscious back then is exactly why it's still simmering in the background, just waiting to affect the quality of your life today. So to that point, and in an effort to help you begin the process of unlocking your karmic past, I'm going to take a quick trip around the zodiac to highlight the overwhelming loss reflected by each sign when it falls on the 12th. And for those of you looking to take a deeper dive into your karmic backstory, visit my website at margueritemanning.com and check out my new beginner-friendly Unlocking Your 12th House workbook course. Okay, so here we go, starting with Aries and going right down through to Pisces. With Aries on the 12th, you were a leader or champion in your last lifetime who was forced to sacrifice your independence and dreams of physical glory due to an unfortunate childhood accident or crippling personal defeat. This physically unfulfilling past left you secretly burdened with anger from yesterday and surprisingly aggressive, incredibly stealthy, and more competitive than you appear today. You must be careful not to avoid the leadership roles and victories you deserve by being drawn to dangerous situations or confrontational people. With Taurus on the 12th, you were a committed partner or artist who was forced to sacrifice your self-worth in exchange for financial or physical security. This personally degrading past left you harboring an inability to see the flaws in others and prone to deception in love affairs. You must be careful not to avoid the personal satisfaction and material wealth you deserve by learning how to nourish your inner artisan without feeling a need to pay the price whenever you do. With Gemini on the 12th, you were a teacher or a networker who was forced to sacrifice your mind and your voice when the careless exchange of your information, ideas, or neighbors led to severe community loss or confinement. This intellectually isolating past left you harboring a profound desire to inform and secretly burdened by the tragic loss of a twin, sibling, or neighbor. You must be careful not to avoid good relationships with them today by assuming the role of fraternal or community scapegoat. Now, with Cancer on the 12th, you were a parent or guardian who was forced to sacrifice your personal ties to your family or your country to ensure their physical safety or your domestic security. This past life of emotional isolation left you harboring a deep need for intimacy and an obsession with privacy. You must be careful not to avoid the loving family and happy home you crave by smothering the very people you're trying to protect. With Leo on the 12th, you were a legitimate authority or rising star who was forced to sacrifice your position and influence due to a humiliating or fraudulent public fall from grace. This past life of unrecognized power and talent left you deeply affected by your father and with an aversion to being responsible for others. You must be careful not to avoid positions of leadership, authority, or even parenthood by relying on partners for income, suppressing your creativity, or attracting unhealthy romances. With Virgo on the 12th, you were a technical specialist or public servant who was forced to sacrifice your honorable work and advanced skills due to your inability to achieve an impossible level of perfection. And as a result, this past life of unrecognized or discredited service left you harboring a fixation with perfection and an obsession for improving the lives of others. You must be careful not to avoid the ideal efficiency you seek by being drawn to flawed data, disorganized people, or impossible situations. Now, with Libra on the 12th, you were a committed partner or peacemaker who was forced to sacrifice your self-esteem due to being emotionally abused or financially controlled by a very cruel, corrupt, or jealous spouse. This highly dependent past left you harboring a need to attach yourself to a powerful player and left you prone to abuse or threats of suicide as well. You must be careful not to avoid the ideal unions you deserve by being drawn to dominant partners or manipulative people. With Scorpio on the 12th, you are a survivor or heir apparent who was forced to sacrifice your own desires and life-changing legacy due to a catastrophic separation or revolution that left you completely alone and dependent on the charity of others. This powerless past left you harboring a deep need to suppress your desires and vulnerabilities. You must be careful not to avoid intimacy by taking drastic measures to protect yourself from ever being controlled by anyone. With Sagittarius on the 12th, you were a scholar or crusader who was forced to sacrifice your intellectual and physical freedom due to your reckless disregard for consequences or misguided campaigns for justice. This intellectually restricted past left you harboring an aversion to openly sharing your spiritual or political beliefs with others and secretly unsure of your limitations. You must be careful not to avoid the freedom and abundance you deserve by becoming involved with confining people or restrictive situations. With Capricorn on the 12th, you are a parent or career professional who is forced to sacrifice your hard-earned authority and respect due to an irresponsible or illegal abuse of power or office. This scandalous past left you harboring an aversion to public scrutiny and a deep fear of professional inadequacy. You must be careful not to avoid the recognition and status you deserve by being drawn to dead-end positions, low-profile work, or partners with chronic health illnesses. With Aquarius on the 12th, you are a humanitarian or rebel who was forced to sacrifice your genius and individuality when you were betrayed by radical colleagues who used your contributions to society to somehow destroy it. This past life of disappointing friendships and unrealized visions left you harboring a resentment of a traditional authority and prone to chronic feelings of loneliness. You must be careful not to avoid the stimulating friendships you deserve by being drawn to clandestine affiliations and treacherous people. Lastly, with Pisces on the 12th, you are a higher soul or healer who was forced to sacrifice your utopian ideals and escape into some kind of self-inflicted isolation when an unshakable act of faith or compassion led to great loss for those you were trying to help. This martyred past left you harboring a deep need to soften life's painful realities and deathly afraid of confinement. You must be careful not to avoid your mission to rescue the real victims of the world by becoming one yourself. And there you have it, the 12 signs, the loss depicted by each sign that falls on the 12th, and the very loss that shaped the rest of your karmic backstory. For more information about that or more tips on how to find your soul's past in the birth chart, go to my website at margueritemanning.com and check out my books, podcasts, and my new Unlocking Your 12th House workbook. The wise soul uses the past as a springboard, not a hammock. And that's what this work is all about.